Hello folks, welcome back to Sound Design for Relaxation, Meditation, and Sleep. I'm Dr. Lawrence W. Moore of the Wayfarer Project, and I'll be your host. In this episode, basically I'm taking a sound design that I've made for running water like from a waterfall emptying into a little pool beneath it where the water bubbles and so forth. And something I was constructing for one of my upcoming sound experiments for relaxation, meditation, and sleep. Very peaceful, relaxing sounds. The white noise of the waterfall kind of give you a little bit of a lulling sound like the ocean waves, but a little differently, less rocking. And the bubbling sounds from the pool that the waterfall is falling into do trigger what I can hear as some ASMR frequencies that might help one relax as well. So I wanted to show these sounds, and if you are crafting like bubbling sounds of water, you can see how that's made, and I'll show you ways to kind of like adapt that sound differently, so you could use it for like a bathtub or a boiling pot or something like that. So anyway, we'll get to that as soon as I give a shout out to Leo. Thank you for the comment in the last video. I'm glad you like the crickets, and yes, I do want to work on cicadas, and I'll be doing that, but they got to be distant cicadas. Here in North Florida, when the cicadas are close to you, it's like a little, not exactly relaxing, but when they're farther away in groups, they can sound quite lovely. Milan Goodzig, thanks for sticking with the series. I'm putting Milan's YouTube channel username in the description so you can check out that music. It's great. And Nameless One, thanks for the feedback. I will be working on the rain sounds and trying to temper them down a little bit. Maybe you'll let me know what you think about this waterfall emptying into a small pool type sound design. All right, without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, here we are, and I'm going to turn up the volume on this, and then we'll build it together so you can see all the turns in the road that you might take a little differently in customizing this for yourself. All right, so I arranged this with a bit of a scene in mind where towards the left is kind of like a pool of water in a cave, and to the right is a little bit of a waterfall from an underground river emptying water into the pool in this cave. And this would be like for use in a moment in one of my meditations where basically, you know, we're going to receive the binaural beating after the intro with the ocean waves and the music where it goes into the cave area. This time we're going to have a bit of a waterfall instead of just like a soft white noise, a bit of a waterfall and bubbling. But in any case, let's see how to make this. It's using some module, well, one module that I have not used in any of my sound designs before, but it's very powerful for certain purposes, and we'll be looking at that. So there we go. If you are new to the series, it might be good to see some prior episodes. I make a bunch of different sounds, all of them you know, I design for relaxation, meditation, and sleep, but you can also utilize some of these sounds for other purposes if you're interested. But I'm not going to continue to keep explaining my mixer setup here. It's been explained in prior episodes enough, but basically we have compressors, parametric EQ, 8-channel mixer, and the aux sends for 2 different effects that I have here. I'll only be using one of them. The second one's just there from a prior sound I made. Compression on the way out to the audio out here. And in this, I don't always use the parametric EQ, and I won't be using it in this sound design, but maybe a little. But it's also a good visualizer, and whenever I want to point out a concept, it's there. Okay, so we're going to start off with this module here, Macro Oscillator 2 from Audible Instruments. It is a free module for VCV Rack, and in fact, all the modules I'm using in this episode are free. The Macro Oscillator 1 from Audible Instruments has basically preset sounds that you select using a dial. But you can make a lot of those preset sounds using this macro oscillator here, because this has a variety of modes. You may kind of use it just the GUI as is and find, okay, a lot of cool stuff there, but not as much as the original macro oscillator. I don't want to hook that up without turning this down. But actually, you got to look underneath the hood, or as you're about to see, right click. And here there is a whole variety of various modes that can be put in. Harmonics oscillator, wavetable oscillator, chords. But what we're going to use is we're going to use it for the particle noise. Now that we've selected that sound, I can turn the level up a bit. Now what these are little bursts of noise, in this case called particles. And the different knobs here will apply to the different modes that you select here differently. And in fact, here for particle noise, they have certain set functions that they perform. Frequency really is like your frequency area. There we go. So these sound like little snaps and stuff right now. I'm going to put it right about there. And then here, timbre really is more like a density control. To the left, you're reducing the density of the particles being emitted. Or you move it to the right, you increase the density. And so, like if you're doing bubbling or boiling water, the hotter it's boiling, you know, the denser it would be. And you could have that gradually climb if you want it to be something where water is heating up. And this here, the harmonics. Here it's like a narrower range of harmonics. And here a broader range. In this case, it's still noise, so it's hard to hear them as harmonics. It's more like partials within the noise. Okay, and now here, this morph actually controls the degree of pitch. Well, kind of. Like here you see it's still noise, but now it's sounding more like a plate reverb, or even, no, a larger room than that. At first it could sound like a plate and then sound like a large warehouse. So that's kind of interesting. But we're going to turn it this way and try to find, as it becomes more pitched, we'll go a little too far here so you can hear. want to back off from that, but still have some degree of pitch area. About right about there. Might want to increase the frequency a bit. Depends on what range you're going for. You can even have this frequency modulate by sending in a CV. But we're actually going to try to, I'm actually going to try to find an area between that and the harmonics setting. And about there. Because this harmonic setting is giving it a wider spread and getting high and lower pitches, but all within the range that sounds, you know, like water surface, like bubbles. Right about there. Let's go with that. All right. Now, I want to filter this a little bit. And I was playing around with the SurgeXT VCF that I've been really loving lately. Hook you up there. Hook you up here. Now, here you see it's cutting out the higher frequencies because it's low pass. Now this, it gets a little too noisy there, a little too intense for bubbles. That's because of the jagged edge here. Now, if I go back to this low pass, since it puts basically an area of resonance, you kind of like have a general area of pitch region for your bubbles, and anything a little higher, a little lower are kind of like an effect based off of that. But what I found is when I use a band pass like this, now this would be great for like bubbles of pouring water into like a cup or something. But this, here we go, and I could take the resonance that's not really doing much of anything like that. So we could say, okay, this setting, I like it, so I'll leave it there. But if we move this around a bit, I could say, I like here, and I like up to here. Maybe that's getting a little too high pitched. So somewhere in here, let's modulate between here and here. But rather than it be a regular modulation, I'm going to have it jump a little bit by using random. And so we'll take this out of here. And what I'm going to do, before I set my random parameters, because this is like moving a filter around, the rate at which it selects a new random CD value going to be hard to hear. It'll be a little bit easier to visualize here. And so if I turn on modulation and mod 1, I can then select frequency knob, left click, push up, and basically select the range I want it to modulate through. Yep, it's not going outside of the range that I like. So we're good. I can turn this off. Every now and then you hear an emphasis a little bit higher, a little bit lower. But you can adjust the rate here. Yeah, it's something that's going about the speed of the bubbles themselves. It gives them a little bit more variation in their frequency area. Now, what I'm going to do is already give myself a bit of a spatial ability here and make a second copy. Now for this to sound stereo, we don't have to worry because I think the randoms work on different seeds because they always sound a little bit different to me. So I don't think we need to even change any other parameters. We're just going to get a left and right that when panned apart create a larger space. Now let me think that, all right, I want it to sound like it's in a pool of water. Let's keep it not too wide. Something like that. Now, when we use an effect later, it will widen out. But I do want the left and right channels to be kind of like equal to one another. Okay, so let's mute these temporarily and do another aspect of the sound. And as you see, there's a variety of things like with the filters that you use, and then later with the effects, we'll listen to that a little bit. Different things you can do to make it sound like this bubbling water is in a different type of container, different type of environment, whatever. We haven't even created the cave environment yet. That's coming with the effect, the reverb. I'm going to put that pair over there and make a blank panel to separate this from another pair that I'm going to make here. Now here, what I'm going to make, I'm going to use the same oscillator again. I could use the noise generator from VCV. But since we've been using this one, I just want to show it off a little bit. It does have some pretty cool features as far as what it can put out noise-wise. First, I'm going to right-click on it and go down here. Filtered noise. And take its output and put it in channel 3. Alrighty. Let me turn it down just a little bit. And we'll adjust it later. Now here you have, once again, these knobs will refer to different things. Timbre before referred to density, and it does again. And you can hear it. It does sound very particulate in nature also, but they can get quite thicker fast. And in fact, that's what I want, to create a flow. And then there's the frequency area. Now, the thing is, this is sounding very filtered still. You can hear I'm not going to sing it, sorry. But something kind of like a pitch area. So let's see if we can broaden that a bit. This is almost like adding a second layer of noise, and you can kind of say where that second layer of noise has its bias, so to speak. And yeah, definitely sounds more like a running waterfall. But we could still use some filtering. So I'm going to search for the SurgeXT VCF. We're going to hook you up here and then connect you here. Now, what I found earlier in playing with these filters is I prefer a high pass. Some of these might work out great for like waves. And this is the one I picked. And that's the range I'd like to oscillate the resonance, which of course we could try out adjusting. Just a little adjustments right around here. But yeah, getting rid of some of that resonance, it's a little too much. Hey, how about there? In that area. We could still adjust it after we put in our random. What am I doing? Now this will be narrow. But hearing that movement makes it sound a little bit more natural, like flowing water. Maybe I should broaden it just a little bit more. But maybe slow the rate down a little bit. Well, maybe that's too slow. Yeah, about like that. All right, and then once again, we want to be able to widen and narrow this bit to fit RC. So, let's pop you over here. Now we can work with effects a little bit. I'll mostly be working with reverb here, and I'm going to try this Now That's Echo on it, one of my favorites. This could work for outdoors as well as, in this case, I think like a cave sound. It's on send too, so let's see. There we go. You could try a little higher, you'll see. That could also work as rain, man. I think I might be revising my rain sound. Yeah. For the distant rain, that sounds pretty good. A little better than what I was working with before. Just a little. Now let's try this. Now I'm going to add the reverb to it and then work with the density settings here. So the amount of bubbling is comparable to what the water flow sounds like. Here we go. Now, it's hard to tell with the rest of that waterfall going on. Now, you see how I have this pretty narrow. It's self-centered here. Let's spread it a little bit. But not so much. Maybe spread the bubbles more. I'm going to work with the density values here. That's sounding pretty good to me. But with some of the binaural beating and other tones, I can create that image of like being within a cave or something. But this is something, at least, this aspect of the sound definitely works as rain. Oh my goodness. I'm going to be revising my rain sound a little bit. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments section. If this was helpful for you at all, please hit that like button. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. And until next time, take care and stay free.